Hard skills get you hired, but soft skills get you promoted. If you had to pick one soft skill that you truly need to master, then it has to be communication. After leading 100 plus developers and leaders, I can assure you that folks that knew how to communicate grew quickly, got promoted, and truly created that impact that lasted for years. If you are interested in leveling up and getting promoted, then keep watching. In this video, I'm going to share a 4 step simple formula for you to create a communication strategy that you can apply in any type of meeting. So let's get started. So, the first step in this formula is identify who you're communicating with. Knowing who you're going to communicate with is going to be a game changer for you. You know why? Because after you know who they are, you can share more or less context in that meeting. Before you get into that meeting, figure out who's going to attend the meeting, what their roles are, what do they care about, what their objectives are, and how do they tie into the context of the meeting, and why were they invited to begin with. Knowing that is going to be huge for you because then you can accordingly decide whether you should provide more context, whether you should ask them more questions, or how they're going to help your team. This is going to make you look more confident because you have prepped for that meeting. So identifying who you're going to communicate with is going to be a game changer. Unfortunately, 90% of the folks don't know which meeting they're getting into. They wait for the calendar tool to notify them 5 minutes before the meeting, and then they decide to go into that meeting not knowing the purpose of the meeting, who's attending the meeting, and then that completely slows down the meeting. So, in order to craft a really good communication strategy, you need to do the opposite of that. You need to identify who you're talking to so you know how to best position yourself. The second part of the formula is to focus on the outcome that you would like to get to. Now, hold on a second and let's take a step back here. Focusing on the outcome is so important. If you know what you want to get out of that meeting before you even get into it, or if you want to what you want to get out of that discussion, then you can basically backtrack and figure out exactly what questions you want to ask and how you want to position that meeting. A lot of times we get too invested in the solutions or we are too passionate about the problem that we figure out what exactly we want to get out of the discussion with anyone. So if you figure out what exact outcome you want to get to, then you can backtrack and craft steps for how you want to get to that outcome. If you get into the meeting and you realize that this meeting is not productive and you will not get closer to the outcome, in fact you are getting derailed by a completely different conversation, then backtrack and figure out what your outcome is and remind your team of that outcome. So, for example, if you get into a heated discussion on architectural decision with another teammate, instead of getting too heated up, try to figure out what is the outcome you would like to get to based on your discussion. Now, the outcome is that you need to agree upon a common solution that works for your team and for the business and for your company, right? That is the outcome. Then you shouldn't get too hung up on having opinions that are not supporting that specific outcome. So, again, if you do that and backtrack it, that will really help you understand where you would like to get to. Now, whatever strategy that we are discussing right now, the 4 step formula along with examples, if you'd like a template for it, then take a look in the description below and download the template for free. Now, the third part of the formula is what impact you would like to create from this specific meeting. Now, in order to make sure that you're creating impact as part of every meeting, you need to create a well structured meeting. So, for example, before you even get to the meeting, make sure that every meeting has a clear agenda and whatever outcome that we have just talked about is also documented in that specific meeting. So, people are aware what to discuss upon. If the meeting gets derailed, make sure that people discuss the main topic of that specific meeting and discussion. Engage participants in the meeting. So, for example, you know that you need marketing's input, or if you need a specific developer's input in that meeting, make sure that you get asked their input and make it a engaging meeting so that it's not just you who's making the decision, but it's the entire team or the entire group that's invited to the meeting, really thinking out loud and giving their opinion. Because again, in order to make sure that you level up and get promoted and really come across as a confident communicator, you really don't want to do this on your own. You really want to bring the entire group together to do this together and manage time effectively. Time is very important. If you make sure that the meeting starts on time and ends on time, that is going to be really, really important for everyone because, again, time is energy. The more time you spend on something, the more energy you're going to spend on something. So, you really don't want to make sure that you are managing the meeting right and making sure that it starts on time and ends on time. If you are getting into a meeting or a discussion, you need to think about what should people remember about you as they walk away from that meeting. So for example, if you are really trying to create a brand around GraphQL and you really want people to remember that you are a GraphQL expert or you really know a lot about GraphQL, then before you get into that meeting, prep for that meeting and really note down what are the different types of questions that are going to be asked as part of that discussion and answer them and help the team. Even if you don't know the answer, that's completely okay. You can take away those questions and really figure out how to help the team later on. But again, make sure that you know what impact you would like to create as part of that meeting. The minute you start thinking about that, you're going to behave a bit differently than you do. You're going to start being more active in the meeting. You're going to be an important part of the meeting, which is really, really important. If you are interested in knowing how to be a great leader and, in fact, how to be a badass one, then check out another video that I have created. The fourth step in the formula is what are some of the actions that you can create as part of this specific discussion. Towards the end of every meeting or towards the end of every discussion, there are a list of action items that you can take away that you can work on. You can remind the group of that, you can remind the team of that, but you can also take away some of those action items and make sure that they're delivered. Once they are done, let the team know in the channels that you're part of, where all your other team members are, because again, that's going to make you look a lot more confident and you are communicating seamlessly. What action items can you take from that specific discussion or meeting? Make sure that it's documented somewhere so that everyone knows what you have discussed. There's no room for miscommunication and misunderstanding because everything is documented. Make sure that you get alignment from everyone else by repeating the goal of the meeting and the action items that came out of that meeting because you are going to look more confident and prepared and you know exactly everyone is aligned on that specific topic. And overall, just be helpful in making sure that discussion gets to the specific outcome that you would like to get to. The key thing here is that throughout this specific video and in this specific formula, I have talked about all the different ways you can communicate, how you need to be prepared for the meeting, how you need to make sure that you're answering questions, how you can share context, and so on. And all of these things, if you keep repeating over and over, you are going to come across as really confident because you're someone who is prepared for the meeting. You know exactly what the discussion is about, so you know that you have that additional leverage over others in that specific meeting. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments what type of content you would like to learn from me. Bye for now. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you really like such short videos on topics that will really help you level up and grow in your career, then comment below and let me know what you would like to hear from me. I also write a weekly newsletter to help you level up in your front end and leadership skills depending on where you are in your journey. So subscribe to that. And yeah, I really hope to see you soon. Bye.